and the sounds of the beads, and it was the movement to the music that made them excellent masters of the dance form. It was the American influence when the Americans wanted the dancers to come over and dance in their movies that created the glitz and the glamour and what they call now the bedla, the American cabaret or the cabaret costuming.
Interesting, very interesting.
So that happened sometime around the 1930s, as one of the books has stated, where that influence had then come in and changed costuming, and the Middle East said, "Hey, we like this, we're going with it too," and so that's
oh, really?
That's
so. In other words, it came here and went back there in a different way.
Right, and even the veil, priestesses. In the beginning, and Secret Woman's Secret Dance touches on this. In the beginning, you used the veil because it was like virtuous, and it was mystical, and it was ethereal. But it wasn't necessarily a part of Middle Eastern dance or belly dance from the Middle East. Americans had brought that in. And I would say probably around the 50s and 60s, you'll notice an Egyptian dancer bring it in with them at first, spin around with it a little, and then drop it. Where Americans, we have routines that we do and specific movements and things that we do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
sort of like same thing with the skirt. We added the skirt to
Mm-hmm.
it as well, you know. So it's there's a lot that was added in this country.
A lot has evolved, huh?
Very much evolving. Hence, it's not just belly dancing.
Right, it's a full body dance. I mean, I think the reason why it was called Dance of the Belly may have been for two different things. One, because there are movements done with the stomach that are probably, you know, when women had the petticoats and they were very laced up and very covered and no ankles could show, and they wore the high-laced boots here in America, to see someone move their stomach in a way was probably very, very shocking
I'm
and
sure.
Scandalous.
Oh, yes, yes.
But
I'll bet.
the other part of that is that the belly holds the womb.
Right.
And it is a dance of life. And so therefore, Dance de la Ventura, belly dance,
Okay.
dance of life. So I'm going to do to a belly rhythm, just a dance with the zills.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Now, when you're dancing, you have certain ways of taking breaths and things like that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whenever you can.
Whenever you can.
Well, you know, the dance is empowering.
Yeah.
So,
I can see you're both very energized.
yes. So when you're out there and you're doing a certain move that you connect with, a certain energy, I'd like to think it's more of an ancestral energy, then you fill with air. Like, when I do the back bend, obviously I'm expelling as I'm bending, but suddenly when I draw up, I draw in. and you know, it fills you. The spirit and the energy fill you, and spinning the same way. Kind of feel the same way.
I dance. When you're out there, the adrenaline is going, and you're enjoying yourself so much, and you are connecting with every move.
It's almost like being on a natural high of some sort.
It is very similar. We really get, you know, like I have, you know, I'll like test Dave and say, okay, see who can drum longer. And we usually can we can outlast. We don't really outlast each other. We can keep going. So it's like I can as long as there's a drummer, I can dance. So
and for me, it's the complicated rhythms. You know,
yeah,
I love complicated rhythms because it challenges me to decipher what the drum is saying through movement. And so I try to make sure that I hit all the main beats in the drummer, and sometimes they get more and more complicated to throw me off, and we just laugh and have a good time.
Oh, that sounds great. So now, about how many, I mean, this belly dancing must be like thousands of years old, I imagine.
It is. You know, I have a neat story about individuals from Greece. It was said and stated in one of the books that I have here that, well, you know, individuals from Greece seem to be very superstitious. Anyone who's gone over there, I visited over there 2 years ago and performed over there, can understand. I mean, there's wild dogs roaming the streets, and it's a very mystical place, very ethereal, with the Acropolis and all the sights to see. Well, the story goes that women would encircle a woman in the village who was in labor. And see, when a child is born, it's most vulnerable to the evil spirits.
Really?
So, in Greece.
It's that way they...
Right, because it's new birth, it's a newborn. And so the evil spirits wait and lurk for the mother to give birth to the newborn child. So all the women in the village would encircle the woman and undulate their stomachs, figuring that if everyone's stomach is undulating, then the evil spirit won't know who to go to inhabit for the child.
And they do that to this day?
They would do it for hours at the time. I'm not certain. There may be that practice going on for those who want to keep in touch with the heritage or their ancestry, but I'm not certain. I just know that that's something that had happened. And I know in Morocco, I had just read in Sacred Women, Sacred Dance, I believe, that same type of story. That not necessarily spirit related, but that the women of the village would encircle a woman in childbirth and do the same stomach undulation, sometimes for hours.
Until the baby got there.
Right.
Now, once the child is born, it's no longer in any danger?
I'm not certain about that point. I never followed up to that.
Really? No, okay.
But I did find a lot of interest in this dance that they call belly dance, the dance of life, that it had a spiritual connection, a spiritual power to help protect.
That's very interesting. So in other words, then partially it was brought about to protect a child coming into the world from evil spirits.
In part.
Wow, that's an interesting thought. Right?
Depending on your region, depending on your belief system.
Really? Wow. Wow, that's really interesting.
So it seems that sometimes it taught the younger individuals what life would be like through dance movement. Sometimes it protected the innocent. There's a lot of expression in the dance. There's sorrow, and there's happiness, and there's sadness, and there's, well, sorry, sadness, but there's anger. And actually, I really enjoy watching Iszabella with her sword, Sid. He has a name. Because she brings out the warrior expression in her dance form.
Would Iszabella like to show us?
I will definitely, yes.
Okay.
Don't start.
That was amazing. You know what I was thinking about while she was balancing the sword on her head was the fact that I could never even balance a book on my head. It's the truth. Long enough for it to stay, and then she's not only balancing it, she's dancing with it. Mm-hmm. That must have taken a lot of practice and patience to get to that point, huh?
You do. You work your way up. You do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started actually with the cane. Some cane choreographies involve balance work. It's actually harder when they're lighter because they tend to float a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
And then the smaller swords, you just work your way up. I've got one bigger than this yet, so.
Really? And you can balance that on your head also?
I just don't do a lot of dancing. It's a lot of very static movements when I have Sharona on my, so they all have names.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Do they come when you call them?
Yeah. Fortunately, no.
That's right.
We're not that spiritual.
No telekinesis, huh?
No. That could make it for an interesting act, though.
Oh, probably could, I'll bet.
I'll have to try
that. Now, you ladies were going to show our home audience, give them a few moves that they might be able to practice at home and maybe get into the swing of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Would you like us to do that now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Oh, wait a minute now.
to start, you should have your hip scarf on, or a shawl, or something to wrap around your waist. So if you have a shawl or a hip scarf that you want to wrap around your waist, that's going to help to accentuate your movement.
Tell you, Helena, why don't you do it and I will tell.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good idea.
good idea.
All right, you must be standing up to be doing this now. All right. Nice and tall posture. Hips tucked under. Chest lifted, arms down, shoulders down. Hands nice and graceful, I guess is the word we'd be looking for here. None of this. Okay, no limp wrist. Keep them straight out, fingertips going out from the arm. And we're just going to start with a right-left hip bump. Just like you were closing your car door. Right and left. And try and just keep the movement in the hip. We don't want a lot happening up top, it's just in the hip. Are we doing up top now? No, not yet. All right. Hip, all right. Hip circle. Little hip circle. The legs are together. The legs are always together. Feet are close together. And what we're doing here is the knees are soft. And basically you're taking your hip and just taking it right, back, left, front, and repeat. And it's just going into a small circle. And again, it's all in through the waist. It's as if you were a Barbie doll and you had that line happening right at your waist, so everything is happening below that waistline. Just a little hip circle. And now, yes. Very signature belly dance move is the snake arm. And as Helena does it, she's like a master of the snake arm. She probably describes it better than even I do, and it's going to be elbow up, then wrist, and then fingertips. Elbow, wrist, fingertips. You take one up. A lot of times it's easiest to practice it one arm at a time. Just take it one arm up and then take it down. Elbow, wrist, and then let the fingertips glide down. And then on the other side. And then you want to add the two together. You're going to take as one goes up, the other comes down. And there are different styles in snake arms. Some get the shoulders more involved. Others keep the shoulders very static. You've got the very large snake arm, as Helena is doing now. You've got a very small one. Tribal is very up top. And it stays it doesn't even go below the rib cage. So it stays very high. All right. Okay, start from the top. She's going to, everybody's favorite. This is a shoulder shimmy, not a chest shimmy. We are not shaking the chest here. We are moving it from the shoulders. It's right shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder. Of course, she's been doing it a couple of years, so Yes, and of course the head slide. And you want your arms up, shoulders down, and then just take your cheek to one arm and then cheek to the other arm.
That's very Egyptian, right?
It is. It's very Egyptian. So we're going to start from the top here. So take hip bump, right and left. Try and smooth it out. Right, left, right. Want to feel L'janan's drum as you're doing this? Hip circles. Really want to pay attention to your music as well. It really helps you connect the move to the music. Add
What
those
about
snake
the
arms.
breathing?
I've never really cued breath. I teach Pilates and I've taken a lot of yoga, but in dance, pretty much you just breathe naturally. It's not like you would have a definite, maybe in slower moves, when we're doing the faster moves, not so much. And then of course we're going to shimmy. And that starts again, knees will be bent on this, legs close together. You got a hip shimmy, you got a whole body shimmy. Yeah!
Wonderful, wonderful. I imagine that's also good exercise, burns a lot of calories and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when you do it, yes, definitely. The longer you do it, yes, the more aerobic it becomes. Once you learn the moves, it's a little hard to make it aerobic when you're first learning the technique, but once you learn the moves, and especially the fast moves, and you start adding them together and you keep it going, yes, it is very much.
It's probably good cardio.
And the slow moves are extremely muscle intensive. So like Helena mentioned, a lot of dance, not just belly dancers, but dancers, period, will get involved in yoga and Pilates just to keep the body toned and sharpened for the dance.
Right, and limber and everything too.
Oh yes, flexibility is a big thing for even the torso moves.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, let me get this back here. Yeah. Okay. So now I hope that our audience was able to join in maybe a little bit, and do a few moves, and maybe even get interested in taking some lessons. Who knows? Do you girls teach lessons? You give lessons in Pennsylvania?
Oh yes, back in our home areas, we both teach out of the Reading area. I teach at Celestial Connections Holistic Center in Blandon, which is in between Reading and Allentown, Pennsylvania. I do the Gypsy tribal style, as well as a lot of Pilates involved into it as well.
Really?
So,
Well, that sounds great.
yeah.
And you, Helena?
I teach Turkish Oriental, Romani, and American Cabaret at Louise and Moore Dance Studios in Burnville, Pennsylvania. I'm looking for a home for one of my weekday classes yet. We are moving. If you're a master, if you're an advanced student looking for a dance master, you have two great individuals here in New York. I'm sure a lot more, but we have heard of and have studied with Dalia Carella and Anahid Sofian. And if you're in the Maryland area, Elizabeth Artemis Murat, she's my mentor. I love her dearly. If you want to see us perform, we perform at the Aladdin Mediterranean Restaurant in West Reading, Pennsylvania. So if you're in Pennsylvania, come see us at the Aladdin. The food is excellent, and the entertainment is also excellent.
Well, at the end of the show, there's going to be a couple of pages that you can get in touch with the girls and also with L'janan. If you want to email them or get in touch with them, and if you're interested in what they're doing, it's a wonderful thing. So tell us. We have a few minutes left in the show. Tell us a little bit more about more information about the belly dance and how it's evolved over the years.
Well, I think the fusion that I described previously is a lot of the evolution to it. It's really come from an ancient dance into a very contemporary dance. You'll see it on club floors. You'll see it with rock and roll groups. You'll see it in belly dance superstars is a prime example of taking it and bringing it into the public eye. There's a lot of costuming has changed. It brings in a lot of different flavors and contemporary through to the older styles. Props. The swords and the canes tend to be, and the zills are ancient forms. In a lot of the tribal styles, you'll see they went from the more flamenco style fans to a little bit more glitzier and bigger flare fans. And the newest prop, well, actually a lot of dancers are using poi, which is actually, if you've ever seen the fire poi, or it's on a chain, and then it has different things on the end of it. And they started putting veils on the end of them, as well as fire. Fire belly dancing is becoming, actually Helen and I do fire fan and fire sword. So, well, I've done candle tray for quite a few years, so it's fire is involved in a lot of the dance as well.
Wedding dances in Egypt, in particular, the belly dancer will lead the procession, the bride and groom, into the reception area wearing a shamadan. It's a chandelier balanced on the head with candles lit.
Wow.
And it comes from the ancient practice of the man leaving his house to go with a woman, and at that time none of the streets were lit. So the dancer would wear the shamadan to light the way, and because of the spirit of fecundity, as David shared, and fertility, and to bring them to their house and have them be a whole.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, belly dance seems to be more spiritual than we had even imagined because of all of these things, because it does bring about a lot of spiritual things, like as you were saying before, the childbirth, and now the bride and groom, the wedding, and all of that. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And we, consequently, Helena especially has been doing a lot of wedding reception, where she'll entertain during the wedding reception, wedding rehearsals. I'm doing one coming up next month, and so we do a lot of private functions involving weddings.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of different events where they had a belly dancer come in. Yeah.
We don't do bachelor parties.
No, bachelorette, yes.
Bachelorette.
We'll have a good time there. and you know why we don't? Because we don't want to buy into the negative thought that belly dance is such a sexual dance. It's really not. It's sensual, yes. It's a dance of life, yes. But it's not supposed to be sexual, though I have to say some people confuse it.
Yeah.
And actually the tribal version, the American tribal style, was founded as a sister dance. It's very much a group dance, as a sisterhood dance between the women, and the group dance. Nobody in tribal, a true American tribal style, it's very much an improv dance, and there's not really a whole lot of soloing. It's a group dance where each woman takes a turn leading, and then they trade off leading, and they'll do circle work, and
kind of a bonding kind of thing.
Yes, very much so. And they'll do duets, and they'll have to be in tune with their partner, because you don't know what the person who's leading is going to do next. So you've got to be in tune with your sisters and your duet partners or your trio partners or whatever. So it's very much, and in our tribe, when we do the group dances, a lot of times that we do get involved in that. So
that's interesting.
One thing.
Yes.
For the people in the audience who would be interested in drumming, it can be a very spiritual thing also.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And many times you try a lot of drums until you find one you really connect with. And some people like the doumbek, some people like the frame drums. I like the frame drum, like I was demonstrating very slow rhythms. You're almost massaging it and caressing it and holding it. So there's a spiritual side to drumming as well as there is to dance. When all of that blends together, it lifts the whole room.
I bet it brings a very ambiance and atmosphere.
most definitely.
It is very important to find a drummer who is well educated, as a L'janan is, and well gifted and talented to play the instruments correctly and rhythmically correctly.
And be in tune with you as the dancers.
Exactly, very much so, because I just I'll look at them.
Well, I could see that you all are a great group, and I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. It was a most interesting show. I'm sure that my pleasure, and I'm sure that our audience is going to, or will have, by the end of the show, enjoyed everything that they've seen here. It was wonderful, really, really good, and thank you so much. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show, and good night.
Good night.